Hey guys, this is Richard, and today I wanted to talk about custom seats and seat brackets that I make for the 88 and up GM trucks. So this is my personal seat I'm using. It's a Braum Elite. I'm not sure which one, but it looked cool on the internet, so I decided to go for it. I really like it so far. I've had this one. I've had Corbeaus, which are really nice. I've sat in some, Bride, Sparkos, whatever, and they're all really good. You really can't go wrong with any of them. But anyway, I make a seat bracket, so you can easily mount these to any 88 to up to the current year, 18 or 20 GM truck, and they're all different styles. But this is one I had custom made for me. Matches my tag. So these are all 3/16 inch laser cut steel. They usually have different hole patterns on them. This is one I had made just for me, but this is a generic one that has all the patterns. So it has Corbeau, it has Sparko, and it has Braum, which are the usual three that I put on here that you can easily mount to without having to drill anything. But you can make just about anything fit. Kirkies will work. You just have to drill holes through the bottom of them, or use the Kirky side brackets with them. But I know a lot of guys use those, and they can work fine. So a big thing when you go to a seat like this, right, is they don't use the normal 3-point seat belt. They use either a 4 or 5-point racing harness. And so with mine, so these holes in the side here can be used for the lap belt, and later shoulder strap, which I'll get to in a minute. You can use a submarine belt here, or really just, and that's why the holes are there to mount to. So another thing guys use a lot is, are sliders. So they want to move back and forth. This is the Braum slider kit. And there wasn't any instructions I could find for it, and it's not immediately clear how to install them, so that's really kind of why I'm making this video, to maybe help somebody out in the future. So what you get is you get the lever here, you get the 2 sliders, and you get some basic hardware. But really the hard part of these is figuring out which side is the top and which side is the front and back. So if we look at it for a minute, so these 2 pegs are where the lever fits into, right? So it'll fit like this. And so also notice the lever has a bend in it. You usually want that bend facing up. But how this works is, so when you pull up the lever, what it does is it pushes this up. It's not very much, but that's enough to release the mechanism and let you slide it. And I can't do it with one hand, but you get the idea. So if you think about it, when you have these mounted, and this moves up, so if you want to pull the lever up on the seat to adjust it, then this side will be the top, right? And so the shift lever also goes out this way, so this will be the front. And so this might be unnecessary for a lot of people, but it helps me. So if I just make a note on it, which side is the top, which side is the front, that just makes it a lot easier. Then obviously the other side will be the same, just a mirror image of it. So I just write top on it. And so that's half the battle, is doing that. Then when you go to install it on the seat, which I'm going to pause for 1 second here while I adjust everything. Sorry, thanks. So this is the bottom of the seat, and as you can see, there's not a whole lot going on here as far as mounting. There's 4 holes. There's one here, there's one here, here, and here. And so what you have to do is, when you look at the this side of the bracket, you have to line up, so one of these for the top with one of these for the bottom. And so what I've kind of figured out is the middle one doesn't work. It's going to be terrible. The middle one doesn't work. It doesn't line up with the bottom one. So you either have to pick either that one or that one. In general, I think most people want to sit back further, so I'm going to use this one. And so at this point, you have two ways you can do it. You can either mount the slider directly to the seat first, then to the bracket, or you can mount these to the bracket first, then to the seat. It really doesn't matter. I don't think one way is easier than the other. Just the way I'm going to do it is mount the slider to the seat first. So, all right, so I got this one started so we can talk about it. So how I did it is I put the top bolt in here, depressed this some so I could slide this out of the way. I didn't tighten it all the way yet because you still need to adjust it. So you see that one started. And so, yeah, that kind of hurt. So pull that up out of the way so you can see the bottom one here. Then you can go ahead and start it. And so the seat brackets have their own set of hardware they come with. The seats do too. It doesn't really matter which set you use with which. Just the set that includes the rails will have a nut with it because you're going to use a through bolt through the seat bracket to the rail when you get to that point. So once you get one in, you can go ahead and tighten it up. Move that back out of the way. Make sure you tighten both sides. And so the trickiest part of this is going to be when you go to put this in. You want to make sure to have this in place before you put the second rail on. Otherwise, you won't be able to get it in there without just squeezing it and probably deforming it. So you want to go ahead and get this one started when you put the other side on. Yeah, so once you get the second side on here, it's pretty easy just to pull it back some, line up the holes, and just let it go in. And so then when you pull up, I don't have very good leverage on it. Sorry. So yeah, when you pull up, then it should easily engage and disengage. And you want to make sure they're both lined up. And so after this point is when we'll put them on the seat bracket here. There's not really a non-awkward way to do it. But what we're going to is figure out which holes you want to use, whichever ones line up. And so for me, it's going to be the middle top ones and the middle bottom ones. And in my seat brackets, I usually put a couple different sets. So if you're hard mounting it, then at least you have some options to move it, either move the seat forward or move the seat back, depending on how you like to do it, or right in the middle. On the driver's side, the steering wheel is actually offset from the seat. So on the driver's side one, this is the passenger, I usually put some horizontal offset ones so you can center the seat better on the wheel if you want to. It's not so obvious in a stock seat, but an aftermarket seat, it's pretty obvious and surprising if you didn't know that. So the simplest way I found to do it is to move both rails all the way up, so you have better access to these front holes here. Then once we get the top or the front bolted in, we can slide this whole thing back and hit the bottom from there. So I usually do it, just get the bolt and start through the hole and just let it hang there and put the other one in, and you can go behind it with the nut. And this is where having two hands is really handy. You can use a wrench to hold it on the back, which you'll need to anyway since it's a lock nut, but just to get it started, you kind of do it by hand. So I'm going to finish up this and take a quick break. All right, so minor correction. Disregard what I said a second ago about putting them in the other way, because with the Allen head on the top, so the bolt going down is the only way they're going to fit. If you can see it or not, due to the clearance between the two bolts right there, you can see how close they are, and if you do it the other way, it won't fit. So you'll need to do the bolts going down, and so once you've got on the top, then you can move down to the bottom. And don't tighten up the top ones all the way yet. You still want to be able to move this around and line it up first. So it's worth noting here that it's helpful to leave the top two not completely tight, so you can still slide it around somewhat. Because on the rail sliders, this top one is an oval shape, but on the back here it has two holes, and you have to line it up with one of those two holes right here. So it helps if you can somewhat maneuver it still, so you can line it up better. Alright, once you get the back ones lined up, bolted in, you can slide it completely forward again and finish tightening it down from here. Alright, and as far as this goes, you're ready to go. Alright, these are bolted in and ready to go. So while I'm here, I may as well talk about it. So this is their 5-point harness kit. It's really nice. These are the 3-inch straps, I think. SFI rated. Quick release cam on it, which is awesome. Really like that. But I'm going to talk about how to mount up the attachments to the bracket. And so the biggest issue, let me get all this out of the way. Biggest issue is going to be the shoulder straps. And so per the spec, you really need to have the shoulder straps pull back horizontal or within 15 degrees of horizontal from the driver. Not ideal is if you go straight down to the back and like on the back of the seat. So these brackets are really meant to be used in conjunction with a roll cage or a harness bar. I'm working on one for the 99 to 06 trucks. That's a bolt-in deal. I'm almost ready with it. That'll be pretty cool, but otherwise, when you mount these up, you can use the seat brackets as a mount for the submarine belt and the lap belts, and also the shoulder straps. You just need to make sure they loop around a harness bar first. So I'm going to show you how I hooked mine up. These little anchors that the Braum ones come with are pretty cool. Let me zoom in. So it's it's real race car stuff, right? So we'll quick release. In theory, you can slide them out and move them. And this should have a cotter pin in it. I don't think the package came with any, but it's supposed to be used with one, so you can't just, you have to intentionally take that out to undo the harness. All right. So this is just how I did it, so you guys can see. So I put the submarine belt right here on this side of it, because what you don't want is it to pull that up and you slide around a bunch. I put these two on the outside. This one will be for the shoulder strap. After you route it through a cage or a harness bar, this one's for the lap belt. And I will say, doing this is much easier before you put it in the vehicle. So I would highly recommend doing that. And I'm breaking everything. So, once you get it in the car and whatnot, you'll want to adjust the straps properly to how they need to sit. But in general, this is how think most people connect them. But yeah, should work out pretty well. I hope this video was helpful for someone. Just to show how to put the sliders in and kind of show the purpose of my seat brackets here. So thanks.